Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now when it comes to curating a wardrobe, which is both very functional and maybe is a great representation of you as a person, there is a thing in the style world which has been popularized for many years, known as the 80-20 rule. And I've been thinking about how that applies to the way which I get dressed, to also be very capable every day, but also show a little bit of my personality. And I think it works rather well. And let me just explain the concept to you before I give you some of my signature pieces, which I think interpret well across into this 80-20 rule. Now think of it like this. What you should have is 80% of the wardrobe that you have curated. It should be made up of basic, functional, dependable items that you can wear all the time. They're solid, they get the job done. But then 20% of your wardrobe, well, these can be the personality pieces. They can be these signature items and accessories and main parts of your wardrobe which bring flair and personality to your outfit. They turn heads of the people around you. They show a bit of your charisma in your clothing, and they often lead to conversations being started because people will often come up and sort of start a chat about something of which you are wearing. I like to think of it like this. If the 80% of your wardrobe were converted into your family home, for instance, that would be your functional, solid, steadfast house. You know, resists the weather, it allows you to do everything that you need, it's very versatile. That's the 80%. Now the 20% of your wardrobe, when converted into the way that you live, well, in your home, that would be the artwork on the walls of your house, or the rug on your lounge floor, which is made up of vibrant colours and maybe a few textures and patterns. These are the things that bring flair to your house. They turn the ordinary into the memorable and the interesting. Now when it comes to clothing, I've got some tips for you today which I think convert very well into the 80-20% equation. Now the first item that I think fits neatly into that 20% of our 80-20 equation is the statement blazer. You might have noticed that I am not wearing my standard navy blazer. And let's be frank, most blazers people own are either going to be navy or they're going to be black or some other subdued colour. But today I thought I'd go with something a little more bold, my magenta blazer, because it absolutely sets a statement and it's perfect for events where you have maybe a little bit of creativity that you want to display to the world, to show your character and maybe a bit about how you're feeling. I've bought this specifically to wear to a polo competition I'm going to quite shortly, because I know in the hospitality box it's going to be very smart, everybody's going to be dressed up, but it's a fun event and I just want to bring some of my personality to that situation. Now wearing a statement blazer, which doesn't have to be just a bold colour, could be something with a bold pattern, something of that nature, you have the advantage that, you know, whilst it does dominate one's outfit, maybe it's a little bit more than the 20% because it is of a traditional cut. It's not outside the ordinary. I think it still fits in very nicely. It can be dressed up or down. I could just as easily wear this garment with some nice chino trousers, grey flannel slacks, cavalry twill trousers, and it works quite well. Or even, dare I say it, denim jeans, if I wanted to. And as I say, it brings a touch of charisma to your outfit, and I think it works rather well. Now the next item that I think can also slot quite neatly into that 20% is a bit of luxury knitwear, but with a bit of an alternative spin. Because yes, I concede that every gentleman probably needs a nice fine quality merino sweater, maybe a quarter zip, maybe in a navy or a charcoal grey, to go with his smart outfits. But you can also go a little bit 20%. You can go for something in a much brighter colour, with a bit of boldness, maybe with a little bit of texture. I've got a fondness for a certain burnt olive colour sweater that I wear all the time. I think it brings a lot of pizzazz to an outfit, and it's also very practical too. You can also look down the road of, say, Fair Isle, which brings you a miasma of colours to one's outfit and a lot of pattern, and it definitely attracts the attention of others. So do not just think that knitwear is comfort wear to be worn at home. Not at all. It can also be part of your 20% personality statement wear. Now, the next thing you can do to add a bit of panache to your outfit is to make an unexpected shoe choice to go with your outfit. Because, I mean, I'll be blunt, most men, if they wear nice shoes at all, they tend to go for the rather bland black cap-toe Oxford or some variation of that type of shoe. And whilst it is highly functional, you have to have it, that's true, to be an intentionally well-dressed man, you can also steer down that 20% route. Now, there are lots of routes you can take. You can, of course, go for the two-tone correspondent style shoe, which I think is very smart and very swish. Particularly in summertime, I think they marry very well with summer outfits. But if you want something a little bit more dark and foreboding, you can go for one of the creations of British shoe manufacturer Geoffrey West. And some of his shoe creations, which are often quite gothic in nature, they definitely add a bit of style and a bit of panache to one's outfit. And actually, you know, some of these shoes, they haunt your nightmares afterwards with these, you know, spiders and things like that, which he has captured in leather art form on his shoes. Now, the beauty of opting for a shoe for your 20% choice on your outfit is it is kind of low risk, because it is only the shoe, it's not dominating the outfit, and of course, you know, it can easily be overlooked. Perhaps if you're in an event and you're sat at a table, people are not going to know. But it is there, it is punching above its weight when it comes to giving you a bit of personality. And the other thing is, they can be dressed up and down. Of course, they can be worn with your suit, they can also be worn with chinos, and even your denim. So a shoe choice, not quite as brave as some of the others, but for the intentionally well-dressed fellow, it makes the difference. Now, the next type of statement piece that I think you can add to your outfit, and it's only going to be good for about half of the year, is outerwear. Because most people these days, I mean, let's be blunt, the hordes of people that I pass in the street in the wintertime, they're wearing puffer parkas or these ghastly swim robes, which seem to have become de rigueur for the masses at the moment. So if you choose an overcoat, you're making a statement right there and then. But if you choose a statement overcoat, a signature piece, well, that is when people are going to take a sideways glance at you, when they're going to notice that you are a man who is prepared to make an appearance in this world. Now, the sort of things I'm talking about, yes, you can go for a bold colour. There are many, you know, a bright red or a green or something like that. That'll get the job done. Or even somewhat more of a traditional coloured overcoat, but with a fur collar. These are quite fashionable and they definitely attract the attention. Or you can go for something with a bold pattern, an audacious pattern. Something like a large houndstooth. I think that's really traditional, but rarely seen these days, and it definitely will get a sideways glance from me. Or if you want to go old school in the way things used to be done, I love overcoats with astrakhan collars. Now, astrakhan is a sort of tight, curly wool, which absolutely puts my mind back to the 1940s, 1950s, when the super dapper of that era chose this style of coat to make their appearance. But the overcoat, of course, it's an investment which is going to span the decades, and it can make you look like the belle of the ball in your signature piece for many years to come. Now, the last area of items that I can recommend for you are your adventurous accessories. Because when I see young chaps these days, starting out in life, maybe first time they've got a job that they're mandated to wear nice clothes, maybe a suit, I noticed they never accessorize their outfits. They just wear the suit, a dark coloured tie and a white shirt. Now for the adventurous accessorizer, things like a well-chosen tie with nice colours and patterns, a pocket square which catches the eye, draws attention, maybe a boutonniere made of silk, maybe just a lapel badge, a jaunty scarf around the neck when you're wearing your outerwear as well, maybe vintage in style. All of these things draw the eye. Maybe make sure to wear a watch while everybody else is not bothering, or they're wearing an Apple Watch, or even a signet ring if you like jewellery. All of these things will actually be noticed by other people. They're not overwhelming to your outfit. They can sort of, as we say, they sit in the 20%, so you don't feel self-conscious, but you are definitely making a statement. Now those are my 5 tips, but I'm just going to give you one tip which I would recommend you steer clear of. Because when I see people doing this, men doing this, I always think, ooh, you are trying too hard, sir, and you just look eccentric. And that is in wearing outlandishly coloured trousers. I seem to see this all the time, particularly in men as they reach middle age. For some reason, they think getting past the age of 40 gives you a free ticket to wear any coloured trousers that you like. Now wearing your sort of red trousers, maybe a similar colour to the blazer I'm wearing right now. But for some reason, if you wear it below the waist, you seem to look like a retired major who's holding up the bar in your local golf club. And unless that's the image you're trying to curate, I would avoid it. And then these guys you see who wear exceptionally light colours, you know, day glow green trousers, it just comes across as a guy desperate for attention. So I'd avoid it with the trousers. Below the waist, definitely keep it subdued. But above the waist, go nuts. That's what I say. And when I say 80-20, it doesn't matter if you stray into the 75-25% category. Just don't go as far as 50-50. Otherwise, people are going to think you are just a little bit affected, and you know, they're not going to take you seriously. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed my recommendations around the age-old 80-20 rule. If you have, like the video, subscribe for more. If you'd like to send me a question, do it via email. Do it now. If you would like to support the channel, you could buy me a coffee, or even better, join me on the journey to Chap Nirvana and become one of my patrons. For a tiny monthly fee, you will get the extra videos, which I make each week, and a personal dialogue with me, if that is what you wish. So, until we meet again, folks, focus on the 20%. It makes all the difference. And I'll see you again very soon.